been there the whole time. Just keep looking up and open up your eyes. Don't get lost in a crowd. You were made to stand out. The Wonder Creative Podcast.
Okay, I don't have my notes of things that I was going to ask you.
I have them.
You...
I literally copied and pasted your email, and then the bold is what I wrote, and then Wyatt and I talked, so I just wrote more thoughts.
Look at this. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with my great friend, Jenna, and she's a friend, but she also does my books. She's a bookkeeper, and she's amazing. And today, I just want to kind of talk about all the things with money, bookkeeping, and also some other things because you're very unique in what you do and your family and like your entrepreneurial journey and stuff because we like to talk about that too. So, but don't be nervous. I'm trying to think, what was the last episode that I did? It was, what did I do this week?
The Moneymaker.
The Moneymaker, right. So that led into, that was kind of like a nice like lead into this episode. If you just want to introduce yourself to everyone and tell us what you do, who you are, and like kind of why you do what you do.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Jenna Sippy, and I own Ever Leslie Bookkeeping, and I opened it back in 2021. Let's see. Yes, 2021. November.
It has not been a long time.
No, like a year, less than a year and a half. Yeah. We're about to hit a year and a half.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's wild. I started the company because I was already doing a little bit of bookkeeping for a couple of like smaller clients.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is going to get into like a long story.
That's okay. That's
but that's the part.
We've got plenty of time.
Yeah. So, my why first, because that's what you asked.
Yes.
My why is I found that there was such a need for people to have really good organization for their business, and they most likely couldn't afford a full-time bookkeeper to be on staff. Like, I feel like in the past it's been very common to bring on a bookkeeper that you had to have in the office 8 to 5 every day. Yep. They usually did a bunch of different things, but now that people are working remotely, you really don't need somebody in the office 8 to 5, and you really can't a lot of companies can't afford a full-time bookkeeper or admin to be in the office. Yeah. So I found this little hole, this gap in between accountants doing taxes and, you know, what business people think of is the taxes. But I found this hole in the middle of where, you know, taxes are important, but also there's so much in between that, between the business and what you need to know to function and to grow, you know?
I did not know this until I hired you.
Well, good. That's the point. That's the point. Yeah.
So, and then also you and your husband both like, are would you say that you're a content creator, or is it just him that's a content creator?
Yeah. So I would say he's more of a content creator. I come into some of the videos and help him on like behind the scenes. Like we talk about a lot of the stuff that he's doing. So in a sense, I see a lot of the content creation, but I'd rather be behind the camera, not in front of it. So,
but kind of talk about like what he does.
Yeah. So Wyatt, when we were about to have our daughter, Everly, randomly did like a Facebook pickup to sell some shoes. He was like, I think I can sell these shoes for more than I bought them for. And so it literally started there. He became a reseller. And basically he finds things that are, you know, at a good price at thrift stores or yard sales, and then sells them for what they can sell for in a good used condition. And so, and some things are new too. He just sells anything that he finds that's profitable. Yes. And so he started that like as a hobby for fun because he liked shoes and he liked hats. And then now it's morphed into he is a full-blown reseller. He sells a lot of things.
And has a huge following like on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all the things.
Yeah. And so what happened was he found this content creator that actually helped him get into reselling in the beginning. And he started, like, he met this content creator when he had 800 subscribers. And now
when Wyatt had 800?
No,
or the other one?
When the guy had 800. Okay. And now, I haven't looked at it lately, but I know he was way over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we met him and he only lives like 20 minutes from us. And it was like, oh, there's this world out here
Yeah.
that he saw him start at 800 and then he grew. So Wyatt immediately was like, I feel like I can do this. Not exactly like him, but like I have passion and things I want to discuss and talk about. And a lot of it's reselling, but he really has just a passion for business and like teaching people a different way to see business and side hustles and basically using, resources that you have to do something on the side that can bring income streams that are passive or multiple streams. So
Yeah. It's incredible. I'm so proud of y'all because, I mean, we used to live in South Carolina and then we moved away. So like I've just kind of been observing from what I can, like on social and just knowing you, like your whole journey. And I've just, I was looking at your Instagram the other day and I'm like, she's almost at 1,000 followers. And like, I mean, like did you start that account from scratch? Like from nothing?
Like in like December or January last year.
That's insane because I, like compared to me, I started my Instagram account 4 years ago and I'm about at the same that you are. So it's like wild to see how quickly you've grown. And then you were talking about how like you have so many clients and like that whole journey of not having enough like systems in place because of so many people that came. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think, I always think of the word lucky first, but it's not really lucky. I feel like it's just, I feel like it was what I was born to do to help people with this. But we got connected again very early because Wyatt was friends with a content creator. We got connected with him, and he is actually a huge part of why I started taking on more clients. Like he was like, Jenna, I want you to come do my books. So I went over to his house, and that night he literally went into his office and gave me the password to his QuickBooks, and that was it. Like it was like we created his QuickBooks that night, and so like when we left that, Wyatt was like, Jenna, like, this is a niche. Like you need to go into this area and like content creators don't expect to make hundreds of thousands of dollars within a year. Like it usually goes from them making like maybe $100 every couple months to like, I mean, they can make big money, but they don't know what to do with it. And because it's content creation, a lot of people can't spend enough money. They owe a lot in taxes because they don't know how to function a business with it. And so anyway, so that's kind of like the backstory of how I got into the area that I'm in. I have a lot of different clients, but a lot of them are content creators. So the reason why I share that is because I feel like my following, it was like unique because the people that I have that are clients are content creators.
So it makes sense for them to
so if they tag me, it's like I automatically have, a bunch more people that follow them that are like, oh, well, if he trusts that bookkeeper, then, you know, I can too. Which has been like a huge blessing because just now I'm like a year and a half in and now I'm like, Chloe, I need your help with marketing. Like, I want to get branding. I've been wanting to do this all along. But for so long, even Wyatt and I would talk, and he'd be like, Jenna, you need to wait on that because right now you have so much. If you got branding right now, it would explode. Like, you need to wait to get your systems in order and make sure that you have everything in place.
That's wonderful advice because that kind of happened to me in 2020 and in 2021. Like, Honestly, I did not expect to make as much money as I did in 2020. That was like I went from like I doubled my income, and that was shocking because I mean I went from making like $25,000 a year, to like double. So like that was really shocking, and that's whenever I realized I don't know what's happening with my books. I don't know how, like I had to hire an accountant to like do all my stuff, like it was like really scary. And that I was talking with my CPA the other day about it. And I was like, I didn't expect this. I did not have those systems in place. And so really last year was a slow time for my business. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on all this back end stuff. I'm going to create like a framework within a client portal that I can easily take my clients through. So like whenever I onboard a new client, I'm not reinventing the wheel every single time. That's what I was doing. And it was like so draining. So like, how do you feel as far as like now kind of being in this and like you're an entrepreneur, like what is it like for you like now?
So starting out, I knew that it was going to grow. I had a couple of people tell me, like, Jenna, you need to prepare. This is going to be not just, I was thinking it was just going to be like 5 people that I would do for a long time. And they're like, you need to be ready because you're about to go across states. And like, maybe a couple months after, it was like, I have people in California. Like, I have a client in Alaska now. Like,
I
it's
love
like,
your
what
little
in the
video of the
world?
little pins on all the states.
Yes.
I'm like, I need to do that too.
It's
I
so
love
fun.
that. It's like a nice visual, and it
Yeah.
like makes you really like think about the impact that you've had.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
It's so crazy. It's been, I mean, a whirlwind just to think
How many
about that.
states?
So I was at, when I did it, I think I was at 17, and now we're at 19. Yes, 19 states. And I hit Alaska, and I'm like, now I just want to go visit all of my clients. I want to do a road trip, like all the way around.
Yes, make it a work trip.
I do. I want to so bad. It's been amazing. I knew that the biggest piece for me, because, and you would understand this too, like, I'm in a service industry, right? I don't create a product. I can't like scale how much I can provide of a product, but I can scale teaching people really how to do bookkeeping and teach them how to manage their own clients.
Yeah.
So I knew that the first step, like, it's actually interesting. I had someone part-time who was one of our friends who came in and worked a few hours a week when I first started, because it was like, I announced my business and then it immediately went to like 11 clients, I think, like overnight, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is when you're managing all their finances, right? So
I can't even imagine. Like, I can only take on like a few at a time. Like, I
know.
can't. Yeah.
it's a lot. But I knew at that moment I had to like start like, okay, putting people in place to help grow this. And again, I started as like, I chose to do this because I wanted to be home with Everly. And so it kind of gave me that opportunity to be able to do
Yes.
that. And so I didn't want, whenever the business started growing, I didn't want to take away the time that we have with Everly.
Yeah.
So like for me, it was like a done deal. Like, I'm not in it to make more money as a business. I wanted to go in and create a team of people who could now leave their 9 to 5 and sit at home and work outside, work in their office, or work in the living room every day. And so that's what we did, was we found Morgan, my amazing bookkeeper. Oh, Morgan. And she came on part-time, and she worked part-time for about, I want to say it was like 4 or 5 months. And at that point, within 4 to 5 months, we had doubled clients, like almost doubled clients. And then she went full-time, and then it's continued to grow from there. But it's because we needed to set that structure of
Yes.
like, now I am not by myself trying to figure out these clients, you know, their books or their questions, their, you know, if an issue comes up, like, I have someone to help me with that.
Yes. Yes.
And so,
your capacity
yes.
has like grown because
Yeah.
now you're not just you.
Yeah. And so we've hired another part-time person that we have as well. So it's like, I mean, it's
So you
crazy.
have Morgan and somebody else now?
Yeah. So we have Morgan, and we have a girl named Maddie, and she's like a part-time on staff. And will continue growing with us.
Wow.
That's the goal. And then we also have a contracted bookkeeper who's actually in Georgia, but she only does a couple hours a week.
Okay.
But it's cool because both of those girls are new moms. So to me, it's like so special, because it's why I started doing this. Like,
Yes.
I chose to leave my job, which was an amazing job as an admin and a bookkeeper, right before Everly was born. I chose to stay home not knowing what we would do. But I was like, I have to be home with her.
Yes.
And that day, the day I made the decision, I got a call from Bill, our friend, and he was like, hey, I know you're working, but can you do some bookkeeping for me at home after your baby's born? I was like the day of course. So, you know, that's why I got started. And now, like, my passion is being able to, like, have other moms or other women, or I mean, it can be men too, but like, especially I'm passionate about giving people a way to stay home with their families.
Yes.
And still feel like they're doing something they really love.
Yeah.
And helping people, which is what we do every day. So,
And you're a great leader. I can,
you.
like, I can just tell, like, I'm like, can I work for you? Can you just like
work together.
Can you run my business and I'll just like
Yes.
work under you? But like, I can tell that you're like a wonderful leader and someone like great to work for, because you actually care, you know, about the people that you're leading. And I'm just so proud of you. Like, when I talked to my CPA, she was like, you have a really good bookkeeper. And like, she was like, I can tell she's
So
very
special.
type A. Yeah. But she was like, she does a really excellent job. And I was like, okay, I'll be sure to tell her. What is something that you feel people misunderstand about you or about bookkeeping, your business? You can kind of interpret this however you want.
Yeah. So as soon as you ask the question, I'm like, yes.
Okay.
I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
So most people, we'll do like some teaching. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. Most people associate a bookkeeper as the person who does their taxes. Mm-hmm. And bookkeepers don't do taxes.
Right.
I actually don't. I'm not certified. I don't do taxes.
Right.
But it's a huge misunderstanding because when people hire bookkeepers, sometimes they think they're getting the tax person, but really the best way to describe it is there's the business owner here, and there's an accountant or a CPA or a tax professional here. And like, of course, the tax pro, all they're doing is filing taxes. They're analyzing, finances and stuff. But they need somebody in the middle to help gather all the information. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we're the middle part. Like, we're the bookkeeper who's in the middle, working with the business owner, working with the CPA a lot. I mean, I'm constantly working with CPAs to communicate, okay, this person's selling this business, or they're selling this location, or they're taking on this big loan so that they can build their business or grow their business. And I kind of work as the middle person in that. But in essence, what a bookkeeper does is they record all the financial data, like all the finances coming in and out of the business. I'm a record keeper.
Yes.
I'm a bookkeeper.
Yes. In the title.
Yes, I'm a bookkeeper.
Yes.
But we record everything, and then the accountant usually analyzes, interprets, helps with like forecasting long term. And there are times where, as a bookkeeper, I get hired to help consult, so I do that as well. And
what do you mean by that?
So I can. Basically, from my experience, not as an accountant, and I make that really clear, I'm not a tax professional. I, defer to a tax professional. I don't give tax advice. That's another thing. I don't give tax advice. But with consulting, I have people who come in and say, here's where my business is. Can you help me see where we can go from here? And basically, it's just working a relationship with them, not just to do their books or catch up their bookkeeping and send them a report. It's, hey, let's look at this report and let's see where we can go from here. Do you think we can add on another location right now? Do you think that we can expand to this market? Do you think that we are at a place of where we should start selling merch, and how do we go about that? And, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's like fun for me. Oh. Like, I love the
Guys,
working
that's a
with
really
people.
good tip. Like, that's like, I didn't even know that. Like, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, for me, I'm like in everything that I'm doing.
Right.
I can't forecast. I like that word. I can't forecast stuff like that. Like with data. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm not a super data driven person. I'm very much like, I feel this and I feel that, but like, it's hard for me to like get in the numbers. With marketing, you really have to have like data driven stuff. So I in that sense, I feel like I can dig into data and I enjoy that. But when it comes to money and like growing like business ideas and just thinking that way, sometimes it's harder for me to step into like that CEO position. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So a lot of people in what I do can start to take on a role of a CFO.
Right.
So it's like coming in as a financial a person who comes in and looks at the whole picture. Right. And who knows, maybe one day I'll start doing more of that because I could, I could do that. Yes. But I think a big passion in mine is like the actual consulting. So it can be financial consulting, but it also can be like brainstorming because I am, in a sense, a dreamer, even though I'm like very numbers oriented, Yes. I use the numbers to dream. I use the numbers to help dream in a certain way. You know what I mean?
I really love that. Yes. I love how you said that. And I think it plays into what we were talking about earlier about how you're creative, even though like you're very like logistical, that doesn't mean that you're not creative in how you are solving problems, and what you do. Like, everyone's creative. I've said it before. Everyone is creative in their own way. So
I had this epiphany, like, it's probably a year ago now. I felt like it was in the spring of last year. I was sitting at my computer in my element, logging into a client's account, and I pull up their books and I see their numbers, and I'm like about to start doing some transactions and looking at their stuff. And then I had to create a solution for something. And I sat there and I like, I am creative. Like, it doesn't look like me painting a rainbow, and although I love them and I love to be artistic, my creative element where I come alive is helping create ways that people can grow and
Yes.
like be in like what I now call my sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am right now living in my sweet spot, and I want to help people be able to do that. And so
Yes.
creatively I can help them do that through looking at numbers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And something that I've talked about, I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast or not, but like designers are more so, when you think of a designer, you think, oh, like they just kind of like doodle around or, you know, sit at our computers and make things look pretty. And it's like, no, like we very much are problem solvers. We use our brains to create stuff. Like it's not just, we don't just make pretty stuff, you know, like we're solving a problem. And that's very much like you come in there and you solve a problem. You're looking at all this data and you're like connecting how all of this stuff can like work together. That's impressive. I think this is a big question that probably a lot of small business owners have is like, when is it time to hire a bookkeeper? Why do I need one? Why is it important to keep my books, quote unquote?
I think it should be immediately.
Okay.
Just because I think it helps you be set up correctly. I see so many people who
I was
aren't
not set up correctly. I just want to put it out there. Like I did not start this like perfect. So
but that's okay.
And I wish
No
that
one
I
does.
had. Like I wish that I had. So keep talking.
Yeah, so I think, you know, the sooner you hire a bookkeeper or you learn how to do it, some people are able to learn how to do it themselves and they can do it themselves. But the sooner that you have solid bookkeeping, the more likely you are to succeed and to grow.
Yeah.
I will say this. I have most of my clients come with messy books or they don't have any books. Like most of my clients come like that. And that's why I'm there. Like if there wasn't a mess, I wouldn't have a job, right? If there wasn't something to fix and something to organize, I wouldn't have a job. But I will say this, a lot of my most successful, like the most well-structured businesses I have come to me and have me help them with getting their everything set up before they open. So like, for example, where we were today, Lily and Sparrow, when they called me, it was like in the fall.
Wow.
And they've been open a little bit, but like they just had their grand opening, you know, and I've been like very closely connected to that process since before they opened, but they saw the value in, we need to set this up, structure it well, work together.
They're seasoned business owners, so they know.
They know what to do.
Yeah.
Yes. But most people don't know that at the beginning. And I think it's important that you ask that because most people don't know.
No.
But for the people who can't afford to do that yet, there are ways that you can organize before.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So how?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is separating your business accounts from your personal immediately.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't have an LLC set up yet, which I think is a lot of people's hold up, they're like, I can't get another business account because I don't have an LLC yet. You can always just have a separate personal checking account that you can use until you get a business one.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So when Wyatt started, he actually still has one of his same personal checking accounts before he got his LLC for his business.
Oh.
So like you can start with that, and then as you get an LLC, then open an account in your LLC.
Can you explain why it's important to have them separate?
So first of all, it helps you to be able to see the full picture of your business if it's separate, right? So like I have clients that they have, when they come on, they'll have a business account and be like, yeah, everything's separate. But then they'll have like major income streams still coming to the personal account that should be going to the LLC. And so when we see their books, it looks like they're not making money when in actuality they are. You know what I mean? Or the other way around, which this is more common, is say they have all of their income coming into their business account and they think it's separate, but they don't have every single business expense on their business.
Yes,
so
I did that.
Yes. Paying more in taxes most of the time. That might be why you didn't have, you know, we talked about that earlier. That might be a reason why you were able to save more, is because now everything is in your business.
Oh, that's true.
Like every bit of your subscriptions, like as a service provider, you have subscriptions. We have subscriptions.
Yes.
They have to be on your business.
Yeah.
If you have a business phone, it needs to be on your business because you're using it for your business.
Yeah.
If you have, I'm trying to think about another example that was directly related. Like for you especially too, like we talked about earlier, and I'm like, you can, like when you go to the coffee shop and you're meeting a client or you're doing a Zoom call with a client or you're creating for the client, that's a business expense.
Yes.
Yes. So write
I
that off.
have to remember that all the time. I'm like, and whenever I do get a chance to use like my business card for something, I get so excited because it doesn't happen very much. But I'm like,
we'll talk more about that.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yes. That's good.
Okay. It took me a while because whenever I got my business account and I had to like switch everything over, and that was a headache to like go into all my subscriptions. But thankfully, like I have everything laid out. I know what I pay for. Right. So I'm like, okay, I just need to go over to Loom. I need to go over to Canva. I need to, whatever, and switch all these over. But that's good to know. I'm very much wired to, I can apply something better if I know why I need to do it. And so knowing why it's important to have those business accounts separate is important. Yeah.
I think that's like, the biggest part about that is like you just save on your taxes. Yeah. Because you know what's actually in your business. Yeah. And therefore you can plan a little bit better. Like again, if you don't have it separate, I don't know. Like I know people.
It's jumbly.
Yes.
It's stressful, honestly. Because I can say I have this much in my business and I have this much in my personal, and I know exactly what's happening and I know what's coming out of what. Because I'm very much. I know that we live in a day and age where everything's like auto drafted out of our accounts, but for me, like I like to know when it's coming out and like, you know what I mean? Like I just need to know.
You need to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is like, I'll throw in a tip just for people who are doing this, but I say separate the account, but what I found to be most helpful, the people who are the least stressed at tax time and are the least stressed when they need to make a business decision that it requires a bigger expense. What they do is they have a main checking account that has everything that's coming in and out of the business, right? They have their main checking account. Then they have a secondary account that can be a savings, a checking, it can be a money market, it can be, any kind of account that they want to use depending on what they need. But make it a tax savings account. So or a savings for a big purchase. Okay. So I have a separate account that each month I put what I know I'm probably going to have to pay in taxes in that, and then it's not in my business anymore. So I don't have to worry when we hit April, or when we hit next year, or each quarter when I pay quarterly taxes, I don't have to worry about that money because it's already set aside, and it feels like when I have to pay less than what I have saved, I'm like, oh, that's a reward. I have extra. You know what I mean? Yes. So it's rewarding to me, and sometimes just personally, we're talking about other businesses, but just personally, what I do sometimes is if I have too much saved in it, I'm like, oh, I get a bonus this month. Yeah. And it's a reward because we as business owners sometimes don't see the reward of it, right? Yeah. Like we don't we put more money into the business instead of taking it out. Wow. So sometimes when you have extra, it's like, oh, I get a bonus this month? Yes. Thank you. Wow. Like, boss. Like, thank you, owner. Like,
that's a mindset shift for sure. Yeah. I like that. I should probably do that. Yeah. There's something else when you were talking. Hiring a bookkeeper can be really vulnerable. For me, that was my initial thing was I'm like, I'm going to have someone like seeing. Because, I guess like money, it's kind of, it's
personal.
It
gets really personal.
Yeah, it gets really personal. And so I'm like, I'm going to be letting someone into all of this. Not only that, but like I have to really trust this person. And so that's one of the reasons why I hired you, because I'm like, I know I can trust her. Right. But then there also was like kind of a mindset shift for me too, because I'm like, she's my friend. Like, what if she thinks I'm a bad business owner? Like, I get what you're saying. With like, you know what I mean? Yeah, and so I just had to be like, you know what? I'm gonna do this because I know that it's what's healthy for my business, and I'm gonna let like my my ego or whatever it is that kind of my pride, kind of like shielding all of that. I'm just gonna let it fall away and trust that you're gonna do your job really well and help me and support me. And you've probably seen it all. So like when it comes to like messy books or whatever,
like I think the biggest thing when I started was that integrity and honor and honesty and confidentiality is so important. This is kind of funny. I'm going to like side note for 1 second, but like I don't have a degree in business, right? I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I never thought I would.
You don't have to have a degree anymore, guys.
No, you don't. But you know what my degree's in? It's in psychology and a master's in counseling. So I have a master's in counseling. And so I didn't know this. Everything is confidential. So, right? Like, I had to learn that from day one. So, anything we talked about in the classroom that involved a patient or a client or whatever, like, anything that we did was confidential. So, I was instilled, like, that's been instilled in me for years. And in general, just the life we live of honor and, like, just honesty. Yeah. Like, that was very important to me anyway. But especially with finances, it's so important. Yes. Like, Wyatt and I bounce ideas about business together. We talk about stuff, but he knows no one's numbers. Like, he knows nothing. Yeah. And it's, to me, very important because it keeps his mind clear. It keeps my mind clear. And it's like no one else knows about anything. Yeah. And so when I bring on an employee or something, that's the first thing that we do is like, this is a big deal. Like, we sometimes are signing people's checks. Like, we're sending the rent check. We are, paying payroll. We are bringing money in and out of accounts sometimes to help them if we run payroll and do that kind of thing. And it's a big deal. But it is important, like you said, you have to trust the person, but you have to find the person you trust. Yeah. So for us, it's like when someone brings their information to us, we're like holding this, like, in a sense, I feel like we have, what number did I say? 41, 42 clients. We have like 42 babies that we're holding. Like, it's their business. Because to me, my business is like a baby in a sense of like, I care about what happens with it. I know that I'm meant to do it, so I care about it. Yes. And so when I look at yours, I'm like, I couldn't wait to bring you your little surprise. I couldn't wait to bring something for you because it's like, this is your baby, and I want it to be like specifically made for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so like it's such a thing of like being able to trust and being able to honor your business. And again, I've seen it all. Yeah. I feel like if I say that now, I'm really gonna see it all. Some crazy stuff. Yeah. And what's amazing is I can still see the person through it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I see it as a person who, like, maybe we have a conversation about how to grow something or,
I mean, even I first hired you and then I was like, I don't know if I can do even monthly. Like, cause I was like, I know I need a bookkeeper, but then it was still kind of a slow time. And so then that's when we shifted to quarterly. Yeah. And that kind of made sense anyway, just because I didn't have a lot going on every month. But you're so kind with how you approach every business, or at least I know for me, and I know you do this across the board with all your businesses that you help. But I just, like, you have like a good posture of how you approach what you do every day, your clients. That's what I'm trying to say.
I was going to say that what's interesting, and I think this kind of goes in with trusting your bookkeeper, is sometimes I tell the client who's coming on for a consultation to come on as a client, you don't need me right now. Or
I've done that as well.
Or in a sense, I've had to get to the point where I'm comfortable enough having the conversation of, you can't afford this right now. Right. So let's come up with a better solution for now. I'll sit with you and have a consultation and help you with doing what you can right now. And let's revisit in 3 months. Yes. But to me, it would be so easy as a business owner who wants to have income and grow to be like, hey, you can do this right now. Oh, yeah. But it would run the business into the ground.
Exactly.
Right?
So, and then they will have, they'll feel displeased in your service, and then you just kind of shot yourself in the foot because you need those referrals.
Right, exactly. So I'm very quick to be like, I don't think you need me. Like, come back in 6 months. Like, I have a client specifically that I'm like, come back in 6 months. We're going to do this, you know?
Yes, so, I have totally done that before. I've had...
You did that to me.
Consultations. Did I?
Well, not like directly, but I was like, am I ready for this? Like, should I start doing this?
I did.
You're like, wait till you're in business 1 year. Yep. That's in my notes.
Oh, yes. Like, I do recommend that for sure. Unless there's like a very specific, like if you're a product-based business, you kind of do have to invest in branding because that's like the entire thing. But online, you can kind of get away with kind of shifting some stuff around there in the first year. I mean, I told you, or no, I didn't tell you. I was telling somebody else that somebody else like made a logo on Canva. And
me?
No. Did you? Yeah.
Okay. That's why I need you. Sorry. You can make fun of me though. Act like it was me. Pick on me.
It's so funny. Well,
it's not.
I'm not going to call out who it is, but it wasn't you. But now you are somebody. Listen, they were like, I'm so sorry. Like, I made this logo on Canva for a friend, and they're starting up this like business, and I was like, and she's like, I feel like I need to repent to you, and I was like, listen. You do what you got to do
Yeah.
in the beginning, because
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about someone actually starting their business than I am
Exactly.
about them investing in branding right out the gate. And I think it's more impactful if you wait and you know your audience a little bit. You know who you are. Like, you don't even know who you are as an entrepreneur yet.
Right.
Like, that first year of business is essential to, like, you're gaining wisdom. I was listening to Roots and Refuge podcast, and she was talking about how whenever she gardens, sometimes she doesn't always get a harvest, like in those early times whenever she was learning how to garden, but she always harvested wisdom no matter what. And I was like, I love that. And that's
so big.
that's something that I feel like as business owners, it's like, sure, is money coming in all the time, and is it always booming, whatever? Are you always growing? Not always. Like,
Right.
there's some months where it's you just break even or
Yeah.
whatever it is, but you can always harvest wisdom. So I want to like, that is not my quote, that is Jess's quote from Roots and Refuge. I love her. But that's just something that is a really good point of, like, knowing where you're at in your business. What are deductions? Why are they important for small business owners? That's like a big thing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
So, like, I feel like I didn't really know, like, what even all of that was whenever I, started really making money.
Right.
And the power of why that's important. So let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I'm going to do my preface, right? This is the preface that I say a billion times on calls. I'm not a tax professional. I just said that earlier.
Yes.
I'm not an accountant, not a CPA. I don't give tax advice, but I can help you with recording things to bring to your CPA. So I'm going to start with that.
Okay.
But basically what a deduction is something that you can spend in your business that is directly related to your business that can help lower your taxable income. Okay, so just that simple. It's something
Which
you
means
spend.
your taxable income is exactly what she just said. It's what you pay.
Taxable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm
when
just
you-
like breaking it down because
Yes.
I know how my brain works, and I'm like,
Yes.
all y'all creatives out there, we need to have it really broken down.
So think deductions, lower your taxable income,
Right.
which means lowering what you pay on taxes.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
So your goal, the reason why you want deductions is you want to be able to write off the things that you are already going to use for your business, right? So that you pay less in taxes based on that.
Right.
That's a way that the government helps us to, like, grow our business. Is if we're putting money into our business, they don't require us to pay back what, how we're growing the business. So some things I wrote down, and I might, like, glance over here because I wrote down a couple of things that, you can deduct from your business. And I thought specifically, since you work with a lot of creators, like your audience is probably more in the creative outlet, here's some things that you can deduct. Okay. So first of all, anything related to and directly used for your business, you can deduct. Okay. Now there are some parameters. Ask your CPA. Again, ask your CPA. But one of the biggest things, like if you're selling a product, is the product you're buying to put together, or the item you're buying to sell, right?
Yeah.
That is deductible, right? But also in a service business like you have Canva, you have Show It, you have, you said Loom.
Honeybook.
Yeah, Honeybook. All of those things are items that you have to use to create your product that you're delivering to your client.
Right. Yeah.
So your product is just a service, right? And you do have deliverables, of course, but
Yes.
but it's a service. So anything that you use to create that product or to create that service is deductible.
Yes.
And then any supplies, say you have to have paper, you have to have paper clips, you have to have a computer.
Yes.
Those things are deductible. So you can buy things that are assets, so they can be more than it. Usually the range is like over $2,500.
Okay.
So if you buy a bigger computer that holds more space, or a really, really nice camera, or you buy something that's more expensive, that's an asset that can be written off over time. So you are able to deduct it, but over time.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. But expenses like this, you write off the full amount. It comes off of your profit,
Okay.
and it lowers your net profit, which is your taxable
Right.
amount.
Yeah.
But some things are taxed differently. So again,
Yeah.
see your CPA.
Yeah. See your
Meals
CPA,
are
guys.
sometimes included in that. They can be deducted on half depending on the year.
Yeah.
Taxes change from year to year. So
Something that I always hear you saying to me, though, is like, track your mileage, like it adds up
Yes.
over time, all that stuff. And I think that's what I struggle with, is like seizing the opportunity to really, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like keep note of those things.
yeah, it takes work to do that.
Yeah.
Especially mileage. there's so many ways that you can do that manually, but you have QuickBooks, so we need to pull out your app and show you your app, because
I did do the mileage thing. I just don't think to do it like today. I could have used it from my house to Lily and Sparrow,
right,
and I didn't.
Into here.
Huh? Yes, into here, and to
yeah.
home. Yeah. But I didn't.
Yeah. I haven't set, again, this is detailed, but like you can set it up to where it's always on. So some people are weird about that, but like for me, I'm kind of like, it helps me. I'm not too concerned about it right now, but I have it turned on. So anytime I drive, it's on. And then all I have to do is swipe one way for personal, swipe one way for business.
With that, what's one of the biggest mistakes you see people making in their business? We kind of talked about like having everything in one checking account or whatever, which is a mistake. You need to have them separate. But is there anything else that you would want to share with people?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest one.
Okay.
I think mixing that is just, it's a huge mistake that can make a bigger difference, like in your business, in your tax situation. I think that's like probably one of the biggest ones. Yeah. I think another thing is like making an effort to stay organized so that things are helpful to bring to your bookkeeper, or if you're doing it on your own, being able to keep that organized. Yeah. I have so many people who are like, I have no clue what I did last year. Yeah. And when that happens, we do our best to help them organize what we can. If it's really late and we're not able to connect their accounts back to the beginning of the year, we do our best to help with that. But if that doesn't happen, then we have to find the best route possible to keep up with what they made until we can start fresh for the new year. Right. And that can really cost you. That's what you had to do with me, right? Yours, I feel like we were able to go back pretty far. We had to do a little bit of manual work, but it wasn't that much. But I've seen clients who have owed like tens of thousands of dollars more because they didn't have a bookkeeping system set up. Yikes. And so when you're cleaning it up, it's like you just have to go off the top numbers, and all of your deductions aren't included unless you remember them. So it's costly. It's a costly mistake. Yes. You know what I mean?
When I went to my CPA before, like I said this on the last podcast, but last tax year, I went to my CPA and did all these things, and there was stuff that I had to gather, whatever. But then this was like the first full year, right?
This was the first full year. Yeah.
Yeah, that you guys had done stuff, and I did not have to do anything. My call was...
That's our goal.
Like, literally, we talked about taxes for maybe 10 minutes, and then the other, 20 minutes, we were just talking about business, and she was just we were just chatting, which I have a great accountant. If anybody wants to know who it is, you can ask me. But anyway, so... I was just so impressed because I was like I remember I had to gather all sorts of things, and it was kind of stressful, and I just didn't want to have to go through all of that again. And then also what we were talking about earlier, being able to forecast and know what's coming in, what's going out, and how to actually grow my business. Anyway, it's so helpful. It's so helpful. But I do want to say I've made a lot of mistakes. Right. In my finances. I've made a lot of mistakes, taken a lot of risks, done a lot of things wrong. Things were not organized. I didn't start out with 2 separate, accounts. Everything was just kind of flowing in and out because I was still in those early stages of business. I wasn't making a lot of money, but even if you're not, it's still important. But I don't want you to be mad at me. No, but sometimes you just don't think it's necessary. But I just want to say that you can recover from those mistakes. Yeah, for sure. And your bookkeeper can help you do that. Jenna has helped me do that immensely, and I'm so thankful. So it's not the end of the world if you do make these mistakes. Can I say that? Is that
no, it's
accurate?
Not. Yeah, okay. I want to say take the pressure off. Yeah. Don't feel like you just messed it up and you missed it. Yeah. We can help with getting things back in order. Right. And I've made mistakes too.
You're not going to go to jail.
if your intent is good and no.
I literally, in my brain, I was
no, you're not going to get a job.
I'm straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Take the pressure off. Yeah. Here's the biggest thing to me is I wish, and maybe our goal is to teach Everly like some of these things because we didn't learn this in school.
She's gonna be
she's
gonna be awesome. She already is.
Oh, I know. She's so sweet.
She has so much wisdom being passed down to her.
Yes.
Between the both of you. All right, friends, we're gonna continue this conversation on next week's episode, so be sure to join us then. We talk a little bit about Wonder Creative and what Jenna learned doing my books this past year. Also, a little bit about money mindset and some more things that Jenna has learned through her journey of entrepreneurship. It's such a great conversation and a good closeout to our episode.